Hello, human. It is only March, but I think I have found some of my favorite romance books for the year. I will tell you all about them, but first, let's make some tea. First off, we have People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This book has just been adapted into a Netflix movie. I couldn't get into the movie, but the book I could get into and I loved. It follows Alex and Poppy, who are best friends. They met in college. They go from being just friends to being best friends, and they made a pact that no matter where it is life takes them after college, they would always meet during their summer vacation to travel however far their pockets can take them. As these trips happen every single year, they both start realizing that they actually have feelings for each other. But that was something that they refused to admit to themselves and to each other. Reasons being, Alex is very much a small town, get married, have kids kind of guy. However, Poppy is the kind of girl who just wants to be on her feet, she's like a butterfly. She wants to see the world. She wants to go here and go there. She finds it very difficult to see the life that Alex wants for himself. So I believe, from what I deduced while reading the book, I feel like Alex was scared to admit that he was in love with Poppy because of this difference between both of them. He felt like they worked as friends and as best friends who would see each other once a year and get on with life. Poppy thought the same thing as well. She didn't know if she was cut out for the traditional family life and all of that. So they go years and years and years not wanting to admit to each other that they were in love with each other. So in general, I don't go out of my way to look for romance books. But when I do choose my romance books, I usually would go for slow burn. I don't know what this says about me, but I think there's something about yearning for someone and wanting something, and two people knowing that they want something but somehow they just feel it's not quite right. There's just something about that I really enjoy reading. I don't really enjoy reading spicy romance books and smart and all of that. I just feel like there's more tension in that. I feel like there's more intensity in that than, going directly, love and all of that, intimacy, blah blah blah. So what I enjoyed about this book was the yearning. I think Emily Henry knows how to write romance. I think she's really, really good at writing romance. So it was an enjoyable read for me. I love that everything took time before things came out and everything was just really slow. And for the things that I did not like about this book, from a moral standpoint, low-key, I think Alex and Poppy were emotionally cheating on their partners because they had their partners, like they had their boyfriend and their girlfriend, and each time they went on this trip, they knew they wanted each other. They knew it, they just knew it. Even though they were not admitting it, they knew it. So why would you travel with somebody you know you're in love with when you are in a relationship? I'm pretty sure things like that happen in real life. Sometimes you decide that you have to move on from something or from someone because of one reason or the other, but somehow your heart is still there. So I know that these things happen in real life, but I felt really bad for their partners, especially Alex's partner, Sarah. I wouldn't want to be in her shoes. I wouldn't want to be the person who is in a relationship with someone whose heart is elsewhere. So I felt quite bad for their partners. Yeah, and something I found like both enjoyable and annoying was the fact that you are grown adults. This book wasn't about teenagers. It was about grown adults who went to college, graduated, were now working. Like they had jobs, they had adult lives. They were well into adulthood. What is stopping you from having a chat? And I know it was intentional because, it's the slow burn, it's, the yearning and all of that. But I just, in real life, I would be like, can you guys just bloody talk? Can you just talk? Talk and resolve your issues. Okay? Admit your feelings, figure it out, talk about it, let it go, and move on, But yeah, I think I highly recommend this book if you like slow burn romance. I think it was a really lovely read. The next book we have is The Secret Crush Book Club by Karmen Lee. First things first, I love this cover so much. I kept thinking to myself that I low-key look like her with her beautiful afro and her glasses. So this book follows the lives of two women, Danny and Zoe. This is Zoe and this is Danny. Danny is in her 30s and she's a single mom to a teenage son. She lives in a small town called Peach Blossom. And then you have Zoe, who is now the new librarian of the town, Peach Blossom. She's also an author, but a lot of people in Peach Blossom do not know this because Zoe writes her books with a pen name. She basically moved to this small town to work as a librarian in order to get inspiration for her next book. And since Zoe writes her books with a pen name, Danny had no idea that Zoe was one of her favorite authors. So they both eventually develop a friendship because Zoe invites Danny to a book club which she hosts as the librarian of the town. So they go from being just friends who attended the same book club to realizing that, actually there is a bit of chemistry there. But it was quite complicated because Danny, who is well into her 30s, isn't sure what she feels for women. She is not sure about her sexuality. There is that, and also the fact that she has a son and she has to consider what it would do to her son for him, a child who has always known his parents to be dad and mom, to suddenly see that mom is dating a woman. So I love how the book handled all of that. Even if nothing else happened after their friendship, I think I would have still loved this book because it was just really cute and so tender. Zoe was this awkward woman who was always so nervous about saying the wrong things, and you have Danny, who's like a straight shooter. She says what she thinks and she says how she feels. So imagine both personalities now merging together. So I think I really enjoyed how their conversations were, how everything went in the book. I think what I liked about this book was that Zoe, who was sure of her sexuality, who has always known that she liked women, did not put any kind of pressure on Danny, who was, for the very first time, being hit with the realization that, oh, I might actually like women. Danny took her time to look at herself, to think. It's so fascinating that a lot of women can go most of their lives without realizing certain things about themselves. Sexuality aside, a lot of women go through their whole life not even knowing what pleases them. Like in intimacy, a lot of women do not know a lot of things about their bodies. They do not know a lot of things about themselves because growing up as a young girl, I don't think anybody had such conversations with me. I don't think anybody told me anything. The only thing I was told was, oh, don't play with boys. If you play with boys, you get pregnant. Nobody told me anything about my body. Nobody told me things that I would find weird about my body, things that would change. It's so fascinating to me that a lot of us just go through our lives not really knowing anything about ourselves, important things, especially as a woman. Yeah, I love how the writer paid attention to the fact that Danny was a single mom. Danny had a child and she couldn't just jump into any random relationship without thinking of the well-being of her child. So I love how that was handled. Even if you're having your gay awakening, whatever, if you have a child, you have to be a responsible parent. You have to make sure your child is okay. Yeah, I thought this was lovely. It was very fluffy and very easy to read, very slow as well. That's about that for this. I still have 2 more books to tell you about, but I think we need a small baking intermission. That's right, we're going to make cookies and then we'll come back for the rest of the books. See ya! It's a Sunday morning. I'm not going to have the truc vite fait Sunday morning. No. I'll take my time and make something. Try to make the little loves. Oh, cute. Let's talk about our last two books. We have here with me Broken by Fatima Bala. I hope you can see it. Well, for this one, I won't lie, I'm not a huge fan of the cover. Not a huge fan. Actually, if I'm being honest, the cover made me very hesitant to pick up this book for a very long time. But I read some reviews and I was convinced to pick it up. And I will tell you that I do not regret it at all. So if you don't like covers like this, I completely understand. I'm there with you. But if you want to read this book, do not let the cover stop you from picking it up, okay? So the book follows Faiza and Ahmad. Faiza grew up in a very religious Muslim home, which means she's very conservative in her decisions. She tries to live her life in a way that pleases God and her parents. She moves from Abuja, Nigeria to Canada, where she meets Ahmad Babangida. Now, Ahmad Babangida is equally a Muslim. However, he genuinely believes that religion is a construct used to control people. He tries to be a good person in the society, but he does not follow any rules. He drinks alcohol. He has relationships without being chaperoned, which is something I will come back to later, because I had no idea that in like one of the rules of dating when you're a Muslim is that you have to be chaperoned. Like if you're not allowed to be alone with whoever it is you're dating, you have to have an adult be there to help you from the temptation of, intimacy. I had no idea. I just learned about that from reading this. Anyway, Ahmad is what people would describe as a playboy. He has his head in the air. He's very, very serious about like his career. He's a very career focused guy. He works really hard. He's comfortable. He earns really well as well. But the problem is that he just does not believe in all the rules and all of that that comes with his religion as a Muslim. So what happens when a young girl who is very conservative falls in love or realizes that she's falling in love with a guy who is the opposite of that? So that is basically what this book is about. What I really enjoyed about this book was that the way the main female character Faiza, the way Faiza was written was very human. It's like we could see that she's a very devoted Muslim. She tries really hard. She does her fasting. She doesn't miss her prayers. She's very upright. But we can see that even in all of that, when she falls in love with this guy, she struggles to follow these rules, because whenever she's around him, she wants to be intimate. She struggles. She tries her best. She stays away from him and all of that. I love that was shown, because at the end of the day, we are human beings. We are human beings, and it is almost impossible to not have these feelings and not want to do these things when you're around and alone with someone you have very deep feelings for. So I love that Faiza was written in a way that you can tell that she's just a girl, she's just a human being. And something else that I really loved about this book was the bits and pieces of Hausa, because I was born in Abuja. Although I didn't spend most of my formative years there. I left at age 9, but reading Hausa in the book made me I think I felt a bit nostalgic, thinking about the times when I would hear people speaking Hausa when I was a child, and even hearing my dad and my mom speak Hausa as well. So I really loved that, and I loved how the writer, she did justice to the description of a rich northern family in Nigeria, a rich Hausa family in Nigeria. I know how rich Hausa families behave, how they talk, how they speak, especially when they are people of integrity. Like Faiza's father was a man of integrity. He spoke the truth. He tried to do things the right way and all of that. You can, like, growing up, I saw a lot of that. So the writer did justice to how they speak, how they behave, how their houses usually look like, and all of that. So I really thought that was really good. She did an amazing job in that. I thought this book was a bit of an emotional roller coaster. To be honest, I found the first half a bit slow and annoying, to be honest. But I think it's normal to feel that way. However, from the middle and the last half, it was very emotional for me. I felt really moved by what love can make you do, what love can make you accept, and how far we are able to go because of love. I was really moved by the last half of this book, and I thought it was really nice. Really enjoyed it. So I recommend it. Highly recommend this book. So yeah. So for the final book, we have Hana Carries On by Uzma Jallaludin. The book follows the main character, Hana. She's in her 20s and she loves radio and broadcast. She runs an anonymous podcast where nobody knows her real name or where she's from. They just know that she's female based on her voice, and she gets, few listeners here and there. However, she had a listener who constantly commented on every single episode that she put out. So she went from thinking this listener was a robot, by asking whoever it was, "Are you a robot?" and blah blah blah. And the person was like, "No, I'm not a robot. I'm a human being, and I really love it, and I really enjoy listening to your podcast." So they somehow form a friendship while she maintained her anonymity. Now, Hana Khan's family run a halal restaurant. However, this restaurant is like on its last legs. They are not getting as much customers as they should. Everything is bad. Things are they're quite literally almost looking at closing the restaurant, as it's no longer sustainable for them as a family. Now, while their family restaurant is struggling, here comes a competitor right next to their restaurant who is opening, guess what? A halal restaurant with better interior. Everything is better. You can know that you can see that someone has just thrown money at that. So obviously Hana Khan is annoyed and decides to confront whoever it is opening that restaurant. So she goes from confronting this guy who is opening this restaurant, something leads to something, and she realizes that she might actually be attracted to said guy. So basically this is the plot of the story. The book just follows Hana Khan's personal growth journey, and then eventually we get to learn a lot of history of Hana Khan's family, where they came from before they moved to Canada, and a whole lot of things about Hana Khan's family's history. And then we get to learn who the anonymous listener of Hana Khan's podcast was, and that was a very interesting one. I think what I liked a lot about this book was some of her family's history, like the backdrop of her family's history was in Hyderabad, India, and I lived in Hyderabad, India for 3 years. So when they talked about certain things about Hyderabad, especially biryani, I was like, oh my god, I used to eat a lot of biryani when I was in Hyderabad. So I felt a bit of nostalgia as well. I loved the writing as well. I feel like the writer did a great job at being able to write about people from different generations, but somehow giving them like respective voices. Like when Hana Khan or the side characters of her age were speaking, you could tell that it's like these are Gen Zers. And when someone from a different generation was speaking, like Hana Khan's father or her mother. When they were speaking in the book, you could tell that it was somebody from a certain generation speaking. So I really, it was a very enjoyable book. And I really enjoyed the mystery around her anonymous friend from her podcast, and eventually finding out who he was. That was a very interesting turn. So yeah, I will recommend this book. Yeah, that brings us to the end of this video. I really hope you have enjoyed this, and I hope you are going to go into the world and read some slow burn romance books. Put some fluffiness into your life and get you some whimsy, okay? Now, I will not be selfish and eat all the cookies alone. I will send you some. I will. Do not worry. Do not worry. I will send you some, and I hope you enjoy them. How will I send them, you ask? Well, you don't have to know everything. You don't have to know everything. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. I have no idea why I did this. Bye. See you next time. Bisous. Love you.